Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Killer Queens, and we have a theme week.
Oh yeah.
Yay, we love it. This week our theme is fatal innovation, okay? And this is when ambition outpaces safety.
Ugh.
We don't like that.
We don't like that.
We do not like that. And we are going to really focus on catastrophic tech hubris.
It's scary times over at KQ this week.
It really is.
We're both now terrified
of everything.
Travel.
Yeah. All forms of travel.
Yeah.
And I already wasn't doing great there. And now I'm like, well, that's the end of that for me.
And I just will live on the ground on dry land forever now.
Yes. Tennessee, I don't need to see anything else. Tennessee has got everything I need now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. All right. So this was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime expedition to the Titanic. And instead, it ended in tragedy. But the kicker is people saw it coming.
Yeah, they sure did, which is really upsetting.
A lot of people. That's the other thing. A lot of people.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I was surprised by, so I remember the coverage, like when it first happened, and I remember hearing like, oh, there was suspicion that this was going to fail. Oh, we knew this was a possibility kind of thing. And I just know that I was like, well, it's a submarine. Of course, there's a possibility it's going to fail. Like, the possibility of failure exists always, at least in my mind. So I'm like,
sure,
it's never not zero. Mm-hmm. But I did not realize that it was a certainty that it would fail at some point.
Exactly. The question was when.
Yeah, it was not an if, it was a when. And I was horrified to learn that. And I was horrified to learn that so many people pointed it out.
Right.
And that it was ignored.
And
not by everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not only ignored, but actively brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
And almost retaliated against, and like at times retaliated against, and at times threatened to keep it under the rug. Like,
yeah.
Which brings us to who was on board. And Nikita, why don't you tell us a little bit about Stockton Rush?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a really nerdy speech about Stockton Rush, okay? And this is a callback to our Aaron Burr episode. Well, I don't know. Have we? Yeah, we would have posted Aaron Burr already.
Yeah, Aaron Burr.
What is the timeline?
Yeah, Aaron Burr will be out by
Will be out by now.
Right.
It's over on the YouTube, so you should go check it out. And it's where you'll find out how truly nerdy I absolutely am. So, who was on board? Let's start with Stockton Rush, okay? So here's my callback for you. Friends, patrons, K-Cuties, lend me your ears. We come to bury OceanGate, not to praise it. The evil that men do lives on. The good is often interred with their bones, so let it be with Stockton Rush, who was the CEO and pilot of this submarine. Full disclosure, the rest of that speech, which is from Julius Caesar, in case you're Torella and you didn't know.
Et tu, Brute, that's what I know.
That's right. Mm-hmm. The rest of that speech goes on to talk about all of the actually really awesome things that Caesar did that people forgot about when he died. But we're not going to talk about good things that Stockton Rush did. So full disclosure on that. But it was too good not to bring it back up.
I love it.
I know. Okay, so Stockton Rush was on this submarine. He was, I don't even know if we call it a submarine. They call it a submersive. I don't know what the difference is.
I don't either, because this one had like holes in it and stuff, so I don't think it really, yeah.
Okay, but Stockton Rush, CEO and pilot of the sub, just know that he was on the plane. This whole episode, we're going to talk about him, so I'm not really going to give you a ton of backstory here.
And I also feel like calling him the pilot, we got to take that like with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing it, but he should have been doing it.
He did pilot it.
Yeah.
Should he have?
Correct.
We'll let you decide.
Yeah.
Okay, also on board was Paul-Henri, who went by PH. He's French. Mm-hmm. What was it?
Paul-Henri Nargeolet.
Nargeolet, yeah. And he was a Titanic expert. So
They called him like Mr. Titanic.
I know.
Crazy.
So the submersive is called the Titan, and they were trying to explore the Titanic. Two different things.
See what they did there?
Yeah. So Mr. Nargeolet was a Titanic expert. He was the director of underwater research for RMS Titanic, which owns salvage rights to the famous ocean liner's wreckage. And he had previously led 37 successful expeditions to the site. He supervised the recovery of thousands of artifacts and was considered to have spent more time at the wreck than anyone else. So like this was his thing. Like he had been down there, he had researched it, he probably honestly knows it better than anybody. And so this is like an adventure for him kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were excited to join this project because it was new and innovative and it was very, very risky, and they knew that, but they wanted to join it because they wanted to figure out how to make it safe. So the impression that I got is that everyone knew it wasn't safe in the beginning, but they were all under the assumption that it's not safe right now and we're doing this project to be able to make it safe.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the perspective and the outlook of the former employees, at least from what I gathered from the doc on this.
Yeah, that was the feeling I got too. And Stockton Rush, I don't remember what his job was before this, but
he was an engineer.
That's right. He wanted to go to
space.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to space, and then he, I think, realized he was essentially never gonna make a name for himself in space travel. And
he wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah. So then he was like, I'll just do underwater stuff. Like all the cool stuff is underwater. He didn't really have a particular interest in the Titanic necessarily, other than the fact that the word Titanic, there are 3 like universally recognized English words: God, Coca-Cola, and Titanic. He saw the business potential there.
Yeah.
And made that his mission to make that accessible to everyday people. This just gives me like Jurassic Park vibes, where it's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Just, ugh.
Okay, also on board was Hamish Harding. I loved this title. He was an adventurer and an aviation exec, and he liked to go on novel adventures, and that is why he's here.
Yep.
Shahzada and his 19-year-old son, Suleiman, were among the 5 passengers. They shared an interest in science, and that's the reason they went on this expedition. Suleiman did not want to go on this trip. He went to make his father happy, despite being very nervous. And I do remember that coming out like in the interviews and stuff. And that made me so sad. It made me sad for him. It made me sad for his dad. And he just wanted to do something with his dad and
and
have
his
this
mom,
adventure.
She sits in the Hulu documentary.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. And she, talks about that. I mean, she lost her husband and her son.
Yeah, that's awful.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
I don't know if y'all remember the memes that came out about this. Very insensitive. Some of them were funny. But they all, everything was described as this billionaire put all of his friends in a tuna can and shipped them down to the bottom of the ocean. To say that they were in a can is not an exaggeration. It was a confined space. It was a 22-foot long carbon fiber tube that was bolted shut and had a single window. Y'all, they were sitting inside this, essentially a tunnel, crisscross applesauce. I am not a claustrophobic person.
I am.
I think I would freak out.
I would freak out. And the fact that you have to be bolted into it,
yes.
I don't even think there's no way out. There's no way out. You have to just wait. If something goes wrong, and it does all the time, you have to just wait until it ascends back up, docks back with the thing.
And you have to hope for the best.
And then somebody has to screw the bolts for you to get out. Like, there's no emergency.
There's no emergency evacuation plan. No. Like, you're in it. You're locked in.
He made such a big deal about how nice the bathroom area was and how a lot of people, like, loved it. It was so weird. It was basically like a camping toilet. And he was like, but that's the best seat in the house because that's, I guess, where the, like, one of the
where
windows
the window is, so the fish can watch you pee, I guess. But whatever.
It's insane. And he made a big deal about making it out of carbon fiber.
So they start with, the whole doc basically starts with him saying, when I'm done with this sub is going to be invulnerable. And the person who's interviewing him, because it was like on a morning show or something, like a talk show maybe, the person that's interviewing said, yeah, that's what they said about the Titanic. And he just kind of like laughs and he's like, huh, yeah. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my question. How did he not, I don't know, maybe my intrusive thoughts win too much. But when something like that begins to occur, and then even if you take out all the people that told him that this was going to happen, like just straight up.
Yeah.
But if you start having like, I'm saying this and they're like, but isn't that what they said about the Titanic? And you get these little I'm like, oh, I'm living in Final Destination. It's coming for me.
Oh, this is beyond Final Destination.
Yeah, like it's coming 100%.
For me. 100%. It's awful.
And there is some, what's really weird about this to me is it seems like we don't know, but a lot of different people alluded to the fact that perhaps he was in some financial distress by this point. That maybe people had paid for something that they weren't getting, or he had some tremendous financial pressure on him. Yeah. I don't know why we don't know that. I mean, his wife is still alive, but there was an investigation. Could they not get into his financial records? I don't know, because the company, he was the CEO of the company, so you would think there would be something there.
The investigation hasn't been concluded. So at the end
maybe we'll find out.
End of the Netflix doc, it says, which I think it's just like the whistleblower one that they're. So maybe when they finish that, we do learn more, but up to this point, we don't know. Yeah. So one guy that we heard from,
David Lockridge.
Yes. So he says he joined the project because he was under the impression that this craft was going to get classified or classed, right? Yeah. Which I did not know what that was until this, but it's a certification that you get from an independent third party that says this watercraft, whatever you're getting classed, if it's boats, it's classed, right? So it basically says that a third party has inspected this and it has met industry standards, which they were planning to do.
Right. Yeah, that was supposed to always have been the plan.
Yeah, that was always the plan. And then they start getting feedback that what they've been working on does not meet industry standards, that it's not going to get classed, right? Like they're not going to pass, or I don't know what you would call that, but if they go through this process, it's not going to pass. They're not going to get it. Right. So then Stockton just basically abandons it, and he's like, well, never mind. They can't. He does they can't tell. I've worked on this for 8 years. They can't tell me that it's not going to work or something.
He positions it as they're just so strict and overly strict, and they just, you know, nobody can get around their standards. No, everybody else who's ever been classed did meet the standards.
Yeah.
You just aren't. And that's another part with this carbon fiber thing. Like, everybody who had experience in submersibles was like, carbon fiber is not the way to go. But Stockton was adamant it had to be carbon fiber. And so he's trying to do something that is just never going to work. And so he can't get classified. So now he's got to come up with some kind of workaround, because if you don't get classed, you can't take passengers on your vessel.
Can't take paying passengers.
Right. So he works around that. And instead of calling them paying passengers, because remember, these people are paying.
Yeah.
He calls it private funding. And instead of calling them passengers, because they're giving him a lot of money, he calls them mission specialists. So they're like, he tries to position them as like not necessarily employees of OceanGate, but
But they have a job. They're here to do a job.
Yeah. It's
basically.
not a commercial operation. Yeah, they've got a job to do.
And so we touched on the carbon fiber thing a little bit, but that is really critical to this whole thing, right? So there are submersives that have gone down to the Titanic before. I don't think they're manned, or maybe it's only like 1 or 2 people, and it's like for research, right? But there is no like commercial, we can just take you down to look at the Titanic thing. So he's trying to be the first one, and he's trying to do it. He's trying to set himself apart at every step, right? So he starts trying to make the hull, I guess you would call it, out of carbon fiber because it's lighter and it's less expensive. And in order to get what they needed out of like titanium, I think is what they said, it would be so heavy based on the design that they had. So I was like, what? First of all, if the carbon fiber is not testing, it's not passing the test. It's not even passing the test that they're doing in their own lab, because you see them do it, and they're doing it in controlled environment. Like they're putting it in like essentially a pressure cooker, right? They're seeing what PSI they can get to, and it's failing every time. And not one time do they say we shouldn't use well, lots of people say we shouldn't use carbon fiber. But at no time does Stockton ever say the carbon fiber is the issue.
Right.
Let's redesign so we can use titanium, right? Because like, why would you not just go back to the drawing board of like, okay, this option's not working. Let's go back to what we know works, and let's find a way to redesign this thing so that it doesn't weigh as much or whatever. Because part of it was you have to pull it out on a boat. So now the boat's got to be bigger to pull how heavy this thing is. Right. It's going to take a crane to lift it out. Now we've got to have a huge crane because it's so heavy. Like, I feel like, and I'm not an engineer, so maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but like maybe there were some design elements that could have been altered to make it work. Yeah. We certainly could have explored it.
Well, definitely. And that's another piece where I wonder if the financial pressure maybe was part of that, because the carbon fiber was so much cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah.
And he was going around telling everybody, here are the benefits of carbon fiber. It's so much cheaper. It's so much lighter. It's this, that, or whatever. But he wasn't openly also sharing, like, and here are the drawbacks of carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Especially in a high pressure situation, which is where carbon fiber begins to fail. Like, it just does. And he also, like, he said that sphere shapes are better to go down at depths like that. Yeah. He's like, those are the best to withstand pressure.
I mean, that makes sense, because then you're getting equal pressure on each side. Right.
But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to do his design, which was the cylinder and then the hull or whatever.
Pointy at the front,
Yeah. And he was like, but that's the best design if you want to do stuff with it. And just like, I'm sure you could make that sound scientific, but I'm like,
yeah.
Where you get, like, that's like me being like, what if we made it look like a Barbie? Like, what?
Yeah. Like, why?
Based on what? Yeah. Like, he was just so stubborn, and no part of it was passing any kind of safety test. It wasn't holding up, like you said, to their lab tests. Like, they also installed acoustic monitoring.
They're hearing this popping, right? They're hearing these fibers crack and crackle and break and whatever. They're not redoing the hull every time. At least not from what I was able to gather. So, like, the things that have broken and popped, they're just broken and popped now. I think it's in the very beginning when they talk about the guy who does the investigation. He makes a point to say that this is the only investigation he's ever done where the vessel itself wasn't carrying a flag. Everybody, like, makes jokes about international waters and stuff like that, right? But like, it's a real thing.
Yep.
Because the flag that your vessel carries establishes jurisdiction, right? So you, if you are the owner of a vessel, want to have your vessel carrying the flag of a jurisdiction that is going to be beneficial to you, right? He wasn't carrying a U.S. flag. They launched out of Canada. He wasn't carrying a Canadian flag. now that this has created a problem, like there is an issue of jurisdiction, like who's in charge, who's supposed to investigate this?
Right.
What about the victims of this? Like, how do they get justice? Because one guy was French, one guy lived in the United Arab Emirates. Some of them were from America, some of them were British. Like, so now you've got all of these competing jurisdictions. The vessel itself doesn't belong to anyone at this point.
Right. David Lockton was like...
Lockridge.
Oh, yeah, Lockridge. Was like, Stockton, Lockton, whatever.
Yeah.
Was like, this is so not safe. You literally cannot do this. I cannot be a part of this. And so Stockton fired him and was like, fine, get out. Like, he was like, this is the way I'm doing it. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, wait a second. This is the guy who has the experience in this industry. Yeah. You're just coming in with your little swinging dick.
Well, he was trying to make it a big one, but yeah. So I would think, as a not scientist, that you would get a scale model that once it passed the test, that you would then still do a test with the big one with the assumption that, yes, this is, in theory, going to work. But maybe I would still drive that down without people in it. They didn't even do that. They failed every single like scale test, like the small models, all of them failed, and they still sent it down there anyway.
Yeah. And this is where it's like, it's one thing to tell the quote unquote mission specialist or whatever, hey, because Stockton was very like, I'm always going to be fully transparent with you. If you have questions, always ask me questions. Like, this is experimental. It could be dangerous. Like, I just want you guys to know that. That's still so different than saying, oh, by the way, this has never gone to depth. It keeps failing. It breaks to the point that, like, if we had been at full depth, everybody in there would have died. So, and we've never gotten it down there. I've never successfully tested it. Oh, and by the way, this is a new one that I've not tested. Oh, and by the way, everybody keeps telling me all the shit on it is broken already, and I'm just going to ignore that. Like, he's not giving people, obviously, that information. So he's almost making it like, well, they should have known.
There's no criminal charges at this point, like we talked about. There is a Coast Guard-led Marine Board investigation going on. That was kind of where we talked about the jurisdiction. Like, we're not sure who's in charge. There's a lot of people showing up. Like, anybody who's interested or, like, has a potential to have jurisdiction is there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the OceanGate people are there. But they're still investigating. But at this point, like, what do you do? There's like a ton of this stuff that we just didn't talk about because we just didn't have time. But like, he had been working with Boeing, like Boeing that makes airplanes, right? Like, he had sent them his design ideas of how he wanted to do this, and they were going to test it for him. And like, they were the leaders in carbon because of airplanes and whatever. And they straight up told him it's not going to work.
Right.
They're like, it's risky at every level, and there's a certain point where they literally put a skull and crossbones in their report, and they were like, don't do this.
You in danger, girl.
You in danger, girl. And he did not get the answers that he wanted from them, and so he just quit working with them.
Yeah, I'll just find somebody else.
But in working with them, he had gotten a report back from them that was a full-scale analysis of his design and what the flaws were, and like all of this information surrounding what he wanted to do. And he basically took that, all of their work, and moved forward with it because now he's got all of the information. Yeah, he has the blueprint for how to do it. Which
is insane because even that blueprint from them said, and don't do this because it's so dangerous. And he was like, it's a blueprint though.
Yeah. The Boeing report was very clear about we're not going to do. They told him we're not going to do this for you. Yeah. We will not do this. Like, we don't think it's a good idea. You shouldn't do it. We're not going to do it. And he was like, oh, plans. Thank you. And so, I mean, there's a ton more stuff in here that if you guys are interested in this, you should definitely check out one or both of them. But
Yeah,
we
it's very
we
interesting.
talked too much, and so we couldn't tell you all of it.
Yeah, sorry. And also, it's really terrifying.
It's also really terrifying.
But it's not quite as terrifying to me as our other 2 cases for our Fatal Innovation Week. So be sure to check those out if you want to spiral right along with us.
Yeah, if you also want to be afraid of the ocean and the skies, tune on in because we are going to be scared.
We've got it all. Yep.
But we're going to be brave and we're going to tell you about it. And it'll probably be like fun-ish. I don't know if fun's the right word.
Yeah, I make no promises.
It'll be informative.
There you go. There you go.
It'll be informative. And there's definitely some crime elements going on, at least with your Estonia one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least, negligence and
there's negligence all over this. We are just negligenting all
Yes.
over the place.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, make
that's
sure to
it.
check it out.
Yeah.
And that's where we leave you on that one. And my non-legal advice for you is don't get in a submersive
Please don't.
ever,
Ever.
under any circumstance. Just don't do it.
Especially if it's controlled by a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation controller.
Man, that was rough stuff.
Yeah, rough stuff. All right. Well, we love you guys.
We love you. And we'll see you for the rest of these episodes.
Bye.
Bye.